Hello everybody, Mr. LEGO Lover 55 here, and today we're taking a look at what people are calling the best value Ninjago set in quite a while. But is this actually true? This is set 71866, the Ninja Character Display. Retailing for around $45 US, this set is recommended for ages 14 and up and has around 447 pieces. And now this is something I've thought about for quite a bit because, on the surface, this does seem like a really good value. You're getting quite a whole lot for quite a reasonable price, but the more I look at this set, especially in comparison to sets from over the years, the answer to this question becomes a lot more complicated than you may have first thought. But more on that later. Taking a look at the actual build here, this is genuinely immaculate. It's very much reminiscent of that original Legacy set from 2019, also depicting the Monastery of Spinjitzu, but it's using a lot more modern techniques, a lot more modern pieces, and overall it just comes together really nicely in a very satisfying way. I think one of my favorite parts is along the wall here. You can see these curved slopes in the corner just nicely blend into each other. This set takes full advantage of the current parts catalog, and it's really cool to see on a set of this scale and of this significance. Flipping the build around to the back, it's honestly pretty bare bones, aside from some candles, because of course this is mostly meant to be displayed from the front. However, if you go beneath the build a bit, we actually have this nice little tea room where the back wall showcases the battle between brothers. It's just two stickers, and they're both replicating that sort of art style we see in the original Ninjago pilot, which is really cool. And around the build, you may notice there's a lot of hollow studs. If you're displaying just the build on its own, it definitely does look a bit odd. However, this was mostly intentional because, of course, you're meant to display this with the minifigs on it. They give you some action pose pieces as well, so you can have the ninja in all sorts of midair poses. However, if for whatever reason you did want to display the build without the figures and want a clean look from the front, you can pretty easily just flip this snot brick around. And if for whatever reason you're worried about the back not looking symmetrical, not to worry, because the other side has a snot brick too! It's such a minor thing, but I know there are people out there who are absolutely gonna appreciate this, myself included. What can I say? I'm a sucker for a little symmetry. Now, of course, the main selling point of this set is its selection of minifigures, including pretty much the entire Legacy Ninja suit line in a single set, which is an absolutely massive W. The instructions even have this little page comparing these iterations to their originals, which is really nice to see. The ZX Ninja are honestly what Legacy should have done from the start. These are faithful, modern adaptations of those original suits from 2012. Kai especially, I just cannot get over. He's such a perfect figure, especially paired up with that beautiful Sword of Fire mold. And the same honestly goes for Zane, who even has the addition of using his original design. And I very much appreciate this because we did not get a lot or really any face prints for this version of Zane, outside of some battle damaged ones. And then we have Jay and Cole, and I know a lot of people have a lot to say about these guys, myself included. Instead of using the classic silver, they instead opt for a pearl gold in celebration of the 15th anniversary. And I get that logic to an extent, but then you look at Kai and Zane and they're basically one-to-one with their originals, so if they wanted all of these ZX suits to be celebrating the 15th, then what exactly makes these two stand out in celebration of that? But I digress. I think the gold has very much grown on me, at least with Jay, who I really was not a big fan of at first. Similar to the new nunchucks, which uses this new, shorter chain element. I would have preferred a longer chain, as the one link really is quite limiting compared to the old, but the shorter chain has the added benefit of holding both ends in one hand like this, so you win some, you lose some, I guess. And like Zane, Jay also gets a new double-sided face print. Cole is probably my least favorite of the new suits. The black and gold color scheme has just become kind of stale, and bringing the silver back for this figure I think really would have helped set him apart from many of his recent suits. And then we have the Scythe of Quakes, and they've never really gotten it quite right. The closest they came was the one they made for Crystallized, and even then it still wasn't quite perfect. And unfortunately, I think this one just suffered from a case of needing to get more use out of that recolored spike piece they brought back. Lloyd ZX also makes the transition to gold, and considering his history being the Golden Ninja and all that, his design makes the most sense. I think the one thing that does bother me, however, is the print detailing, specifically with the belt. When you compare it to the original, it feels like the placement of the belt is a little bit off, and I think that's because the original was printed on the torso, whereas this one is printed on the hip. So as a result, it just feels like there's a little bit too much empty space on the torso. And then we have Samurai X Nia, who I honestly think is pretty much perfect, at least in terms of prints. My one critique would be the choice of armor. They opted for one from the Tournament of Sources, when I think she really needed a much bulkier armor piece. That original Samurai X armor is likely retired at this point, so I don't blame them for not using it, but even so, I think there were so many better in-production options. Honestly, the ZX armor would have been perfect since she has used that with her Samurai X suits in the past. Otherwise, like the other ninja, the print detailing is pretty much a faithful, modernized redesign of her original figure. And the same pretty much goes for Wu. A simple design, but it does everything it really needs to. He reuses that face print from the Guardian Dragon set, making this the cheapest way to obtain that expression. And despite being pretty close to the original, I love the little touches that make this figure its own, like the sandal prints on the toes. And then for the 8th and final figure in this set, we have Liber, the former elemental master of lightning. Similar to the Master of Earth from the Blacksmith, they actually managed to make this a pretty interesting figure with the metallic lightning prints on the torso. And something cool is that she actually reuses that old symbol that Jay used to have on some of his suits. Seeing that return on a modern 2026 Ninjago figure is honestly kind of surreal and not something I expected to ever see again. She does reuse an existing LEGO City face print, but I honestly don't really mind. To be honest, she doesn't really have the most unique face in the actual show, and I think this one at least fits her personality pretty well. She additionally comes with this little display stand that connects with all of the others. The design is very similar to the base of the main build, and this is because the entire set is also compatible with the figure displays, and this is awesome. I love whenever sets have cross-compatibility, and I really wish Ninjago did it more often nowadays. However, things start to get a bit awkward in terms of symmetry when you factor in that there are going to be 7 anniversary figures in total. Despite this set feeling like a centerpiece, the number of anniversary figures makes it tricky to display all 7 in a manner that looks good, especially factoring in that the stand included in the Old Town serves as its own centerpiece. In my opinion, if you do plan on getting this set and all 7 anniversary figures, I think it's best to exclude this set from the lineup. It works well enough as its own display without the need to connect to the other stands. You can even flip these Technic bricks around to hide the connection points, basically giving you a perfect standalone display. But overall, this is a really impressive set. There's a lot of wacky, cool build geometry that makes for a pretty engaging build experience. The entire frame for the front gate, for example, is actually completely sideways, being constructed almost entirely with snot techniques. As I mentioned earlier, this set retails for $45 US. Now, when I look at the build of this set, just the build, I don't exactly see the $45 value. Of course, factoring in figures, things change a bit. So then I kind of started thinking, okay, what sets have we gotten that are somewhat similar to this in the past? And one of my first thoughts was actually one of my all-time favorite Ninjago sets, the $30 Gamers Market from 2020. This is a set I know a lot of people felt was overpriced at the time. Admittedly, the builds aren't the most interesting and pretty bare bones, but the main draw of this set were the figures. The set included 9 of them, which is very close to this set's 8 figure count, though 2 of those figures were completely reused parts. When you start to consider the fact that this set is $15 more than that set, the value actually starts to seem almost pretty much the same. Like if you added $15 more worth of stuff to the Gamers Market, you would probably have something close to the value of the Ninja character display. So honestly, when it comes to value, I wouldn't even say the value is necessarily like out of this world amazing, but it's far from the worst we've seen, especially if you look at the last summer wave. Love those sets to death, but man, the prices were kind of atrocious. This set has been on back order ever since it released, and it's easy to see why. Of all the legacy sets this wave, it's the most affordable. It comes with a great build, includes one of several figures fans have been wanting for over a decade, and it includes the entire suit line of some of the franchise's most iconic minifigures. This is by all means a no-brainer pickup for any casual Ninjago fan, if you can manage to find it. But those are just my thoughts. Do you think this set's value is good? Have the gold ZX suits grown on you? Leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this review, consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel for more content like it. But that's pretty much all I have to say, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and keep building.